Heard of Q broadcast? It's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Starz. And the best part, there are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Anne Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old.
Illuminating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the John Age Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your host, John Age. Happy to be back with you once again, and I will be taking you into the dark side of the AM. Hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State, I'll be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet, a forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global Luciferian death cult of pedophiles. Thanks ever so much for being with me this evening. Can't thank you enough. I know it's late for many of you, so thank you for being up and at 'em with me in the dark side of the AM. Check out anomicage.com. If you have not already done so, please like all the likes and subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. I'm going to see what's going on here because this seems to be a problem with the Stream Deck. So let's just see if it is. Let's see if it's a Stream Deck problem or let's see if it's some other malfunction. We'll just see, huh? Because this thing. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just testing the waters. Because I don't know about you, but this whole tech thing is driving me kind of bonkers. Let's see if this works for the 5th time, huh? Seems to be working fine, and then all of a sudden it just goes bluey. Seems like it's a little bit of a lag. Yeah, that's me. That's what I want to show you. Okay. How convenient. Well, folks, I don't know. We'll see how this goes, I guess, won't we? Yeah, that's what I want to show you. Let's see if we can run it this way. Let's just try something here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Let's just see a damn minute here. Well, I'll be right back.
Investigating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the John Age Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here again. It's John Age, and you've entered into the Anomic Age. I will be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global Luciferian death cult of pedophiles. I can't thank you enough for joining me and putting up with the nonsense. Let's see if this functions. No, it doesn't. You know what? Screw the whole show. That's right.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the anomic age. I'm your host, John H. Check out anomicage.com if you'd like to check out my homepage. It's got everything you could possibly need there. You can donate. Got the Cash app, iPhone app, Android app. Subscribe by email link. Buy me a cup of coffee. It's all right there at anomicage.com. So please consider going there. As I said, my name is John H. I'm hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State. I'll be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Thanks for tuning in. Can't say that enough. Thank you ever so much for tuning into this show. Most people, unless you're actually doing this kind of thing, and have a producer, most people don't know the lengths that it takes to actually get this this kind of thing off the ground. So, thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in. And please consider becoming a patron. Make a donation, or just some kind comments, some 4-star reviews. I'll make that 5 5-star reviews and so forth. So, this show is very taxing. I'm not going to get on here and share the personal all that much, but it's been a heck of a lot in the last few weeks. I'll be going to my second funeral here in 2 weeks, tomorrow. And granted, these individuals weren't necessarily very, very close in the circle. Maybe the peripheral. It's kind of weird if you grew up somewhere like me. It's such a different way to grow up than most people. It's living on an island is very different. There really is, or it used to be. There's not that way anymore because there's too many scum living there. But there used to be a very lovely community. It was very small town feel, small town vibe. Everyone went to the one school on the island. Everyone went to the same high school. You know, everybody's parents knew each other and so forth and so on. So it was a very, very different way to grow up than most people can even comprehend. So when I say this person is peripheral, you know, it's not a negative mark on this gentleman or anything like that. It's just, it's a different way to grow up. You grew up knowing everyone's parents and knowing all the stores and restaurants on the island. Everybody knew each other. So I'll just say that. I'm not going to even mention the name of the person nor the establishment. I'm not trying to give them any heat or unwanted attention. Because being associated with this show or this kind of content is probably not everyone's cup of tea. It's amazing. I guess right before I go live every single show, I have to restart the entire computer and start it back up, even though this is a brand new, like multi-$1,000, ridiculously nice and fast computer. And it must be OBS. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Or it's just being associated with the Patriots Prayer Network just brings all the gremlins out. Because this only happens when I go live on this broadcast. Well, that's okay. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Let's talk about what we're supposed to talk about this evening, shall we? Got a lot of notes here. Well, I won't say a lot of notes. I got enough notes. Because what I actually wanted to talk about this evening, let's see if we can pull this up. There we go. It's just this. And this is from Asheville, North Carolina. And I did the show last time, and I touched on going out of town, and I wasn't going to speak on it because, you know, I was trying to give the cities that have been most affected by this sort of thing, all the help they can get, because it's not the communist scum, it's the actual people. And and I was looking at somebody's post today, because in case you're wondering, this is from lovely Asheville, North Carolina. This is the well, not all of it, quite clearly part of it's Mount Rushmore that I put in the background there to kind of show you what I wanted to talk about this evening. But more to the point, yeah, this is some sort of communist filth that screwed up a Charlie Kirk billboard in Asheville and wrote all over it and defaced it and defamed it, whatever. Anyway, not the point. The point is, I saw a post that was very apropos and it made me kind of rethink the whole thing, because we really have to vote with our dollars. That's one of the few things that we can still do. And hate to say it, folks, but if you're in a communist bleep hole, people should be voting with their dollars. They should be voting by no longer supporting your communist bleep hole. Just the facts. So I say all that to say this. Stop supporting communist bleep holes. I learned my lesson. I shan't be going back to that mess hole. North Carolina is my home, but I won't be going back there. Sorry. So more to the point. The purpose of this show is going to be to discuss how we really got into this pickle, if you will. How we got to the point where we're really we're resting on our laurels. We're living with the vestige of what once was, but is no longer. And I think that is a very central theme in our Estados Unidos. We just don't live in the present anymore. People are all too excited to talk about 1776 and the revolution and all this mess. Folks, that's hundreds of years ago. That's hundreds of years ago. That's no longer the case. And we're just sort of living off the fumes of the once great United States of America. We're not that anymore. Please don't be that stupid. So that's really where we're at. We're living off what is no longer real. Those people are dead and gone. They've been dead and gone for multiple generations. And the sad truth is we are a weak, pathetic, lame, just empty shell of America. We're no longer that. I remember we played that lovely cover of Sweet Home Alabama last time, where these fruit bats screwed that up into turning into Sweet Home Israel or whatever the devil that was. But there was another great Leonard Skinner song. I think it often gets overlooked, but Yesterday's Gone with the Wind. It's so true, folks. Yesterday is gone with the wind. We got to stop resting on our laurels. We got to stop living in the past, because sadly, it's a past that never really was. It's a past that we have nothing to do with. We know nothing about. And it's funny on the right, because people are very quick to tell anybody that's black to, stop living in slavery, all this 400 years or whatever the bleep it was, and rightly so, because that's a bunch of horse pucky. Nobody today has anything to do with that. That's bull butter. But if you're going to say that, you also got to say that to yourself. You got to do that Michael Jackson thing. You got to look at the man in the mirror, folks, and say, hey, yesterday's gone with the wind, folks. Stop resting on your laurels. Because we're not that. It's a joke. And one thing that I got to come back to on this, I'll come back to this at a greater depth, but while I was thinking about it, this really resonated with me when I was in the communist bleep hole of Asheville, North Carolina. Just a mess hole. But while I was there, I told you last show how I just felt gross. It's like, ugh. You get that discernment where you just know you're somewhere you don't need to be. You ever get that little hairs on the back of your neck where you sense danger? Yeah, you should, because that is definitely, like a vestigial part, an ancestral memory. The epigenetics kind of clicking in and going, hey, I don't need to be here. That's your ancestral memory. That's that old epigenetics clicking in saying, hey, saber-tooth tiger, 12 o'clock, get out of Dodge. It's saying, hey, grizzly bear, 6:30, get out of Dodge, you know. And I think that still is true. But we've just lost so much discernment. We've lost any connection to the Christ because we're too connected, not myself, too connected to mainstream churches, which are just 501c3 mess holes that preach anything but the real gospel. They preach that the church is a building instead of in you. You know, you got to go through this entity. You've got to go through this brick and mortar structure. You've got to go through these humans to get to the Christ. That's as asinine as Catholicism, folks. That's as asinine as praying to Mary, praying to the saints, or expecting some sort of priest to absolve you of your sins. Just got to pay him to write Quan, to write indulgences, you know. I mean, to sidetrack, though. But that's really where we are. That's where we are as a people. We're a joke. We ain't 1776. Everybody needs to burn their shirts. Stop putting those stupid wooden, like, American flags in every backdrop of everybody that claims to be a patriot and conservative. Man, nothing, hardly anything nauseates me more than looking at the alternative media, the mainstream alternative media, which is nothing more than that. It's like diet Fox News or something. It's a joke. And replete with all the aspartame, too, to make sure you shrink your manhood. Right on down. So back to the point, when we go into Asheville, dealing with communist scum and eating at some place that might as well have been called Eating with Antifa. But I digress. One thing that really rang true to me, and it kind of did wake me a little bit, because I was like, I was thinking to myself, if I had an establishment, I would run it just like Eating with Antifa, the restaurant that I ate at. That's not the real name of the joint. Might as well have been. But at Eating with Antifa, they showed you who they were. They did not pull any punches. They didn't play nice. They didn't say, oh, let's be nice and pander to these morons. No, they didn't do that, folks. They wore it on their sleeve. Pun intended, Antifa. Excuse me. But they told you what they were. When you went in the establishment, had a menu, and it was clearly like some sort of ripoff of the Indian god Ganesh or whatever. Big Blue, I used to call him. The dude with like 6 arms. Anyway, it was clearly a ripoff of that. But of course, they feminazied it and made it a woman or something weird and put a bunch of commie mess all over it. Anyway, not my point here. But they told you that coming in. Like, you went in this establishment, you opened the door, you saw the people working there, you knew the deal. You saw the menu, you knew the deal. You saw them playing a bunch of like Antifa rock in the kitchen, loud as bleep, so everybody could hear. You knew the deal. You saw the place just look kind of dingy and not quite kept. You knew the deal. You saw the menu. You knew the deal. You saw the big LGBT not so silent P flag hanging up. You knew the deal. You went to the bathroom. You saw it was not a men and women's room. It was an everybody included, cut off your wiener and stapled these on kind of room. You know, you knew the deal. You get in there, there's like a big urinate on Charlie Kirk kind of sign. You know the deal. So my point is, folks, the communist scum, the satanic death cult of pedophiles, these people know who they are. They're not there to play nice. They're not there to pander to the conservative market. They're not there to worry about your feelings if your feelings get hurt. They're there to tell you what they are, rub it in your face. You either like it or don't like it. Learn to love it, to paraphrase the great Ric Flair, because in their eyes, it's the best thing going today. And the problem is you don't see that on the right. on the conservative side, on the Christian side, you know, everybody on the other side of the paradigm wants to see themselves, you know, in this very pharisaical, we're too Christian to stoop that low. We're too good to do X, Y, and Z. We're just going to keep taking the high road, keep taking the high road. So you got these people that seem to at least give lip service to this notion that they're taking this higher moral ground and they wouldn't dare stoop to their antics. You know, this sort of horse pucky. So they're living in this bizarre duality, though, because these are the same people that basically idol worship and ancestor worship the founding fathers in 1776 and the Pilgrims and the Quakers and the Puritans and, you know, everything that was Americana, everything that was the vestige of what no longer is. So they do this weird thing where they idol worship these folks, they ancestor worship these people, and then they turn around and refuse to actually act like those people. They refuse to actually be any elemental of the greatest generation, any even remote modicum of greatness that America once was. It's this weird paradox. So they say all this stuff, they idol worship, ancestor worship, and then when it comes down to brass tacks, they want to somehow play this pharisaical high road, like they're not going to get their hands dirty and stoop to the lowness of these filth. You know, they pull the weird, like, Thurston Howell the Third. Oh, lovely. Get Gilligan to get me some water. I'm not going to the pond myself, you know. You know, it's this weird, totally bizarre duality. And I think therein lies the problem. Because you can't ancestor worship and idol worship and then not want to actually do it. You know, and don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm calling for violence. Oh, I'm so scared. No, I'm just saying, yo, you actually have to resurrect the ghost of the founding fathers and emulate that. Or you're not really trying to be like that. You know what I mean? Like you can't say you want to play basketball like Michael Jordan, but you don't want to put the work in. I want to be like Mike, but you know, I want to just practice every other day. Yeah, you know, I want to be like Mike, but I don't want to work out in the off season. I want to be like Mike, but I don't want to eat right. I want to be like Mike, but I don't want to play a pickup game today. I just want to shoot around. You know, like you say something, but you don't actually want that. It's just not the case, folks. That's just how Americans are. And to paraphrase my granddad, they're just too fat and happy. That's the problem. People are happy with their steel belted radials. People are happy with their, you know, 2-car garage and the 1.3 kids watching the game. You know, it's foosball season. So every moron that is allegedly male is watching foosball all day, every day. And they're somehow cool with the fact that they've got these asinine commercials pushing this obvious homosexual agenda up everybody's nose. They're cool with the fact that now they've got, I guess you would call them gay or tranny cheerleaders on at least 4 different cheerleading squads. They're cool with that. It's the same thing, man. So you say you want one thing, but you don't. You just want it in like the bumper sticker. I'm going to wear the shirt. I'm going to kind of, you know, front. Or when I was a kid, it's called being a poser. You want to pose like you're involved, but you're not. You want to get the band t-shirt at the mall, but you don't want to go to the show, get knocked around down front, pay some money, go to the merch stand after the show and actually earn the shirt. You just want to go to the mall and buy the shirt. Same thing with the Patriot mess in America. You just want the wooden kind of burnished American flag in the background. You can just buy them offline. It's real cool. You just want the 1776 sticker, maybe a shirt. You know, I got one of the Hodge Twins shirts. Great shirt, by the way. But you just want the shirt. You don't really want any skin in the game. You know, you don't want to actually lose your business. You don't want to actually like go out there and defend freedom. You're just kind of cool with voting, allegedly. You know how much of a joke level sham that is. You think you're just going to vote your way out of this. And you somehow think that Trump's your savior, even though he's made it very, very crystal clear. I mean, even even Ray Charles can see this. Very crystal clear. His allegiance is to Israel. His allegiance is to Matt. It's what is this moron's name? Miriam Adelson. They gave him $100 million. His allegiance is to anyone but you. Anyone but America. Is it making sense yet? Just as the people that idol worship all these sports stars, they don't give a rat's patoot about you. They pay all this money to go see him play. You wear the jersey. You paint your little face. You spend like $50 at the concession stand, another 30 on parking, and they don't care about you. It's a great song by Fear. They don't care about you. And I think you know the rest of the lyrics. If you don't, look up the song Fear. I don't care about you. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly why the graphic for this show isn't what it is. Because it's a billboard that was defaced by some commie filth in Asheville, North Carolina. And in case you want to check this out, they got a No Kings protest there. I think this weekend. Maybe it's Friday. I can't remember. Might be tomorrow. Hell, I don't know. But I know that they've got like 8 different benefactors, donors, or otherwise people that are paying for this BS, handing out their little red hankies all over town. And I guess, I mean, I'm sure because Asheville is a scumhole, just like every city in the state. But I guess there'll be like a big outcry, dare I say protests. Maybe they'll burn some stuff down. Hell, I don't know. But they got that going on this weekend. And I'm sure these are the same ilk of bipedal flim bags that defaced this guy's billboard. And when I say that, please don't trip on me and think like I'm idol worshiping Charlie Kirk. I really don't care. I never was a big fan of the guy. I certainly think his whole alleged murder is a big old psyop. His wife's either in on it or like, I'm not even going to keep going down this rabbit hole. If you buy like the normal version of what happened, then God bless you. Praise Jesus. May he bless your soul. But for the rest of us that have seen like the countless things pertaining to that, if you still buy the official narrative, you know, bless you. Anyway, I say all that to say this. Here's another shining example. They just destroyed this dude's billboard. And this is just kind of like a low-key example of what goes on all across this country all the time. And I guess the American people are just idol worshiping Trump, and they just think he's going to solve all the problems, you know? And I say to you again, that would kind of be akin to Michael Jordan going into a game going, you know what, Scotty, you and Phil Jackson probably got this. I'm just going to sit on the bench. I'm going to sit this one out. It'd be like George Washington, you know, 1775 and into 1776 going, you know what? I think King George has got this. He's got our best interest at heart. There's no way that we need to go out there and do anything. I mean, Lexington, Concord, they took all the guns and took all the munitions from the people. And that's okay. I'm pretty sure King George, we'll write him some more letters and he'll figure out that he's wrong. And he's just going to give us all what we want in the colonies. And that's all we need to do. Cause you know, King George has got our best interest there. He loves us. I'm pretty sure he doesn't love the crown. He doesn't see us as colonist filth that'll just pay taxes indiscriminately to England. No, he loves us. Again, I mean, I often reference the same stuff because it's just so idiotic. It's like the girl who's getting slapped around by her husband who's still going, I think he loves me. I'm going to keep just wearing these big glasses and saying I ran into the door. It's so insane. It's so insane. So the real difference between the left and the right, folks, in case you haven't figured this out yet, they have the temerity that I talked about last show. They actually have the guts. They got big donors. Yeah, all 3 branches of government are stolen and sold over to them, and people like them. But the difference is to quote Rocky. No, excuse me, to quote Rocky 2, I believe. Rocky 2, where Rocky's kind of just going through the motions. He's got a big fight coming up. He's going through the motions, and Apollo, excuse me, very poignantly comes over to Rocky and says, "Yo, when we fought, he was hungry, but he did not have that look in his eye." He said, "Rocky, you got to get the look back. You got to get that look in your eye, the eye of the tiger." And the folks on the right, the conservatives, the Christians, whatever you want to call yourself, I'm not calling myself that mess. I just don't care. But we have no eye of the tiger. We think that somehow it's all going to get handed to us. We're going to get our hands dirty. No. I've got my white gloves on. Me and Lovey are going horseback riding on the Marlboro. That's the mentality of the American sheeple. That's why we're in the mess that we're in. Because we pretend that it's the 1776 mentality, but it's not there. We have no eye of the tiger. We have no skin in the game. We just don't, folks. It's just kind of a joke to me. And the left does. See, the left is all too happy to shove it in your face, shove it down your throat, and shove it you know where. 8 days a week and twice on Sunday. They don't care. They will shove it up your nose, folks. And the people on the right want to play nice and play patty cake. I don't want to offend anybody. I've got a cousin that's gay. I don't want to offend anybody. Oh, my friend at the water cooler, I think he's a leftist. I better not say anything that might hurt his feelings. Folks, these people don't care about hurting your feelings. But you're tiptoeing through the tulips like Tiny Tim because you don't want to hurt their little feelings. They've got the eye of the tiger. You've got the eye of the sheep. That's the problem. That's really it. Let me throw some lyrics up here for you because I haven't done that enough. Here's some old lyrics for you. You know, I love to infuse a little bit of reality in the show. Here's some old stuff by a band called the Circle Jerks. Yeah, I know they're communist boobs, but a broken clock's right twice a day. This is a great song called I and I. Read these with me and see if this doesn't ring true to you, especially if you're in a communist bleepo in the North Carolina region. Lowering standards in every school. Homewreckers, whores, backstabbing fools, unconscious murdering tools. You're not going to take it. You're not going to take it? I and I. Mom and dad, brother and sister, lost in the neighborhood of Skid Row drifters. Cutthroats, con man, cokehead, hipsters. Pretty sure I saw a lot of that in Nashville. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. Yep. I'm not going to read. Well, I might as well. It's a short song. I'm dying in a beehive. I'll censor a little bit for you. You make everything so beautiful, just too futile. The world's a firing range. 45's a legal exchange. Not anymore, California. Apparently not. At least if it's a Glock. Get ready, baby. I and I. And this is the most important part of this song to me. In order to live, you got to be ready to die. Nobody gets out of this place alive. That is the heart of the song. That is the eye of the tiger. That's why people on the right, the Christians, the conservatives, whatever you want to call them, are losing. Because in order to live, you got to be ready to die. And I mean really live, folks. I mean live freely. I mean live without saying, I better not say this at the dinner table. Somebody might get upset. I better not say this at Christmas dinner. Somebody might get mad at me. Good. They should be mad at you. They should be mad, folks. And you should too. That's the problem. People are not ready to die. People don't have the eye of the tiger. They're going through the motions just like Rocky Balboa in Rocky 2. Or is it 3? I don't know. I'm confused. It might have been 3 because he refought Apollo in 2, and then he went Clubber Lang in 3, and then my personal favorite of the Rockies when he fought the Russian in Rocky 4. Great 80s propaganda de los Estados Unidos. Anyway, it doesn't matter what Rocky. It's the point of, in order to live, you got to be ready to die. And please don't get me on some trip where you're calling for us to kill ourselves and homicide. No, you moron. What I'm saying is, you got to have skin in the game. You got to have fight in the game. The people in 1776 had skin in the game. They had Eye of the Tiger. They were ready to die. Didn't mean they were going out there just like, please shoot me, redcoats. Please shoot me. No, they were going out there saying, we're not going to take it, King George. We're not going to be pushed around anymore. You're not going to rule our town. You're not going to rape, murder, and pillage our women folk. You're not going to take our firearms. You're not going to tax us without representation. All that and so much more. They had a reason to fight. Now people have a reason to sit around and watch football. They have a reason to get takeout. They have a reason to just go along to get along. Trump's going to save us after all. He's put military on the streets in all these cities. Come on, people. Come on. The military is actually going to be used for you because now the precedent has been set. So when the pendulum swings back to the commie-crats, guess what? It's round up the Reds time, except in this case, it's going to be the Reds, meaning the conservatives. So that is the problem. The commie-crat, fruit bat morons on the left, they're all too happy to play their Antifa rock and show up with a nose ring and a bull ring piercing and tattoos and a big rainbow flag and tell you all about trans rights. And meanwhile, you just sit there with your mouth closed, I guess, and pretend it's all okay. So, as the great Big Reed often says on Instagram, tomorrow came yesterday. And the problem is most people haven't figured this out yet. Tomorrow did come yesterday. These folks have moved on. They've moved their game plan. They've changed, folks. And the vast majority on the right are just now vaguely catching up. They're vaguely going, you mean there's child pedophile rings? Oh, my goodness. You mean Ghislaine Maxwell's just one of them? You mean, yeah. Thanks for catching up. These are all the people that took the vaccine. These are all the people that stays affixed to Fox News. Okay? These are all the people that's going along with the mainstream, go along to get along game. I'm sorry. These are not your comrades. These are not your friends. These are not people that are going to help you. These are the people that would rather go to the football game and just do enough to show up to vote again because that always works. Not exactly Eye of the Tiger, folks. Not exactly Eye of the Tiger. So if you want to know the real difference between the right and the left, that's it. They're all in. They're all in, out there in, was this Portland, I think, where you had this, thousands of people show up to ride their bikes nude down the street to protest ICE. Not that I'm condoning that, nor do I want to see it, but I'm saying you ain't going to see that on the right. These people out there defacing billboards and actually showing up to mark their displeasure. And if somebody actually pushes them, they're actually going to do more, Yeah, you don't really see that on the right. No, you don't. The last folks you saw that with, and again, I'm not calling for violence. I'm just saying defense. Remember that great movie? Yeah, remember the great movie Falling Down? Defense. Yeah, the best defense. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you don't see that at all anymore. Trump's back in, so everybody just sit back, relax, have another drink, a few more pretzels, a little more MSG. That's kind of where we're at, man. It's just a big joke now because everyone thinks it's going to work out. Meanwhile, we're still arming the Ukraine. Meanwhile, we're still arming Israel. It's just a comedy skit. So, folks on the left, sorry, you're winning. That old Charlie Sheen thing, you're winning because the people on the right are just complacent, resting on their laurels and pretending it's 1776 with air conditioning and football or something. It's a pathetic joke. It really is. What are we looking at clockwise? Let me see. We're at 34 minutes. I think we're ready to switch gears. We're ready to switch gears and talk about some news. And keep in mind, this is just like the obligatory news segment, I like to call it. This is absolutely not news that matters. It's just news. It's like, here you go. Here you go. This is RFK Jr. at a speech. I believe that was from today with DJT. Let's pull this one up.
Thank you for your vision, your commitment to our country. When my uncle was president, the fertility rate in this country was 3.5%.
All right, so RFK Jr. saying when his uncle was president, that would be JFK, the fertility rate in Los Estados Unidos was 3.5%.
Today, it is 1.6%.
Y ahora, eso es 1.6%. So we've gone from 3.5 in 63 to 1.6 in 2025. So fertility rate. In case you don't realize this, this is part of the plan. This is part of Agenda 21. This is part of Agenda 2030. This is why Bill Gates said what he said about 15 years ago. It's called the death panel, and we're not supposed to have that conversation. You remember Captain Pink Sweater? Yeah. Bill Gates was saying he wants the death panel. He wants to kill you. He wants to do what Canada's already done. Canada's got the lovely death pod. You can just off yourself in a death pod. How sick is this? So it's an assault on your fertility and the population that made the nation.